Welcome back to Sims Complete. I'm your host, Matt Sims, and that's Phil Sims right next to me with a great tan. My man, look at this guy. Okay, he goes away for a weekend and he comes back all bronze and beautiful. All right, it's unbelievable. Hey, Bob Papa, appreciate you filling in for the big man himself. You can't throw it as good as him, but you got the gift of gab like Big Phil does, and that's what we got you here, man. Thank you to FanDuel, Sims Complete, the Believe Network, and also to ZipRecruiter, who was another sponsor of the show. Without ZipRecruiter, I went to ZipRecruiter.com. I typed in everything that I needed. I needed to find a co-host with great credentials, right? That could fit in this
they have that
right
AI
here.
matching technology.
That's exactly right. Oh my God, this guy is doing it. You know what? You should host more shows. I don't know why you don't do this. But with ZipRecruiter's new advances, you can easily find and connect with a qualified candidate. That's exactly how I find my friend Bob Papa.
Weed out all the people that aren't going to help you. Get to it fast.
So there you go. Hey, ZipRecruiter.com, the fastest way to hire. And that's how I found this guy right here. So, Bobby, I appreciate you helping out the Sims Complete football family. I've been on the ManjaCast. Now you're on Sims Complete. And now it's official. We are a family, a football family for sure.
That's not to mention we co-host a show on Sirius every Monday and Friday. So, yeah, we're really tight.
Yeah, we are. And I'm pumped about that. We'll be reviewing all the Thursday night football action this Friday again. But let's get into it, man. Let's talk some ball. And, of course, we're going to start with our hometown team, the Gents. No, I'm just kidding. The New York Giants. And we have Jaxson Dart in the starting lineup this week. Really excited for Jaxson Dart. Not exactly excited about the opponent that he'll be facing for his week one start here in the NFL. But Jaxson Dart gets the start as the guy here for the New York Giants just 4 weeks into the NFL season. Bob, just as a fan of the New York Giants, what are your thoughts on Jaxson Dart getting this nod here in September?
I'm excited, man. From what I've seen throughout training camp and what we saw in the preseason, I'm excited to see what he can do. Look, we all know that Brian Dable's offense and Mike Kafka's offense or whatever, RPOs are part of the mix. They ran it with Daniel Jones. They had success with it in 2022 and wherever those guys have been. And they've been limited a little bit of what they can do offensively. You're not running RPOs with a quarterback who's 36 years old, who's going to be 37 later this fall. I think it brings an added element to what they can do offensively. Everybody said, well, maybe they should have just waited until next week when they play the Saints. Saints are not as good a team, even though it's going to be on the road. But here's why that could not happen. Matt, you know this better than anybody, but after a game and the film is studied and everything is broken down, there's pretty much an autopsy on what happens on both sides of the ball, and then you make your corrections. If you wait until next week to start Jaxson Dart, how are you going to do the autopsy? You play the Eagles on Thursday night that week. You don't have a week off to decompress. Let's learn. Let's get back out on the practice field. All you have is a walkthrough and a half.
Yeah.
So, as you know, in the NFL, it's never easy. Can I give you a Big Phil story?
Absolutely. Please share.
Well, back in 1979, as the first-round draft pick of the Giants, Big Phil made his first ever start against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were actually good back in 1979, but they were 5-0. Right. So he started against a team that was 5-0. Now, he threw for 37 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And only 12 attempts. They got the win. Billy Taylor ran for, I think it was 148 yards and a couple touchdowns. But there are no soft touches in the NFL. There's no homecoming games. There's no mid-major that you're paying a couple $1 million to come in and get their brains beaten in. So now was the time. I mean, 15 teams have been in the red zone between 10 and 16 times this year. The Giants are one of those teams. The Giants are 31st in red zone scoring. They have 2 touchdowns in 10 trips. And I think they feel like Jaxson Dart's legs will be able to give them some opportunities against one of the best defenses in the NFL.
That's a fact. And that's where it just comes down to his opportunity, right? And you can't pick and choose when you get those opportunities, but he is getting a great opportunity. He's going against one of the best defenses, one of the best defensive minds in Jesse Minter in the NFL right now. And, Derwin James has been playing phenomenal. He's going to be a key part too, especially because he's a safety that plays around that line of scrimmage area. There's no doubt that he might be responsible for some Jaxson Dart QB spy situations or a part of just defending that RPO game that you're discussing because of his athleticism and his versatility on that side of the football. And you're right. The scoring offense, the Giants right now are 27th in the league in scoring offense. That's just not good enough. Passing, they're 9th. Right, they're doing a pretty good job of getting these chunk plays. Didn't see it last week against Kansas City. We saw it the weeks prior. Now, what we will see, I think, from Jaxson Dart is the ability to be a little bit more aggressive in the middle of the field. That's one thing that I feel like with Russell was a little bit of that's just not his style. He's a little bit of a shorter quarterback in the pocket. To be aggressive over the middle with his stature wasn't part of his game. That's why he was a great go ball thrower, right? To see down the sideline and to the outside the numbers area, it's easier for him to kind of see down the field and be aggressive with those throws. Jaxson Dart, I think, will be able to exploit the interior part of the defense a little bit more aggressively than we've seen these first few weeks for this New York Giants offense.
Well, think about last week, Matt. News breaks right before the game that Graham Gano is hurt. He's injured himself kicking into the net.
Right.
Very, very unfortunate situation.
No doubt.
So on that opening drive of the game, they go for it on 4th and 3. Well, if you go back and you look at the coach's tape, they had the right play dialed up. They had a slant. And it was wide open. It was there. Yeah. And Russell Wilson had the ball batted down at the line. Again, getting a little bit of pressure. We know that the guards and the center for the Giants are not the strength of their offensive line. Okay, Illuminor has played really well. Andrew Thomas was lights out. Bo has done a nice job as a rookie trying to find his way.
Right.
But the interior has been a big problem. And they got push. Maybe Jaxson Dart, because of his height, sees over it, changes his arm angle just a little bit, and gets that ball in there, and the stadium's going nuts. They've converted a 4th and 3. Not saying they would have won the game. The other thing, Matt, is, the numbers are very skewed. We saw what Chicago did against Dallas's defense. And the bottom line is, in the game to start the season against a team that made it all the way to the NFC Championship game, and against a defense that went for their 3rd consecutive Super Bowl win. Forget about how they lost. They were in the Super Bowl for a 3rd straight year with Steve Spagnuolo's defense.
That's right.
The Giants have scored a grand total of 15 points. And even in the Dallas game, after that horrific opening drive where they had a 64-yard kickoff return called back because of a penalty, and then they had 40 yards of penalties on a drive that used almost the entire first quarter, what happened? They kicked a field goal.
Yeah.
They didn't get it in the end zone in the red zone. So I think now is the time to make the move. I can't argue with it by any stretch.
Yeah. And hey, we're in a results-based business. And I think Dayball and the rest of the coaching staff feel that pressure to start. Hey, they got to start showing some results with this football team because it's getting late early. For the Giants, I feel like sometimes with the fan base and just kind of how overall we feel with how the past few years have gone. So it's par for the course. And the Giants defensively, that's going to be the big question mark, right? Defensively, they have struggled again as far as just an overall defense. They're struggling to stop the run again. Has something that has popped up. Sexy Dexy is still trying to kind of, I feel like, find his way back into his groove and being that dominant force in the middle. Brian Burns has absolutely been phenomenal. So I can't wait to see that matchup on the outside with him.
Kayvon Thibodeau has probably been their second best defensive player this year. He's played really good.
He's played very well. And there's no doubt that the drafting of Abdul Carter has absolutely lit a fire underneath that young man to play even harder. And of course, with the experience of being in the league now for a few more years, he's just ready to be that person, right, that the Giants need him to be. Sometimes adjusting to the league at the defensive line is extremely difficult because offense is going to do a little bit more. Chargers lost Najee Harris to an Achilles injury last week. So it's going to be Amari and Hampton with the bulk of the work. There's no doubt that the offense has been predicated on just the success of Justin Herbert through the air and Quinshon Johnston's emergence as one of the better young receivers of that crew now, right, and being developed underneath Greg Roman in that offense. But if the Giants get tore up on the ground against this Chargers O-line and running attack with Marion Hampton, that's a big concern, and that definitely will make it more difficult for the Giants to win the football game because then all the play action passing and all that stuff with Justin Herbert is just going to expand and be that much more difficult to defend. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't played horrible defense in games 1 and games 3, but they are the least opportunistic group I've ever seen to this point. I mean, I've never in my life seen 2 backward passes in a game, let alone by the same quarterback, and you don't recover either one of them.
Right.
You can't drop interceptions because they're not good enough to overcome those mistakes. We saw last week the Eagles made a series of mistakes. They're good enough to overcome missed opportunities.
Right.
The better teams can overcome missed opportunities. The Buffalo Bills can overcome missed opportunities. The Giants can't. They've got their margins are so much slimmer. And listen, you're right. They have to do a better job of stopping the run because it's not like they've been gashed. It's not like they've been, but they're giving up enough that it's disconcerting.
That's right.
And the other thing that the Giants have been horrible at, and I don't know if this goes to schematics, if it goes to technique or whatever, but do you realize between 5 and 8 yards, opponents have had 9 third down attempts? They've given up 7 of them, and they've given up 4 of 18 plus. And they've given up like 2nd and 13s where they've given up 10 yards, which have created 3rd and manageables. Their second down defense this year has not been good. That has to improve because then your pass rush could actually mean something.
Yeah.
But if you give up 13 yards on a 2nd and 16, well, now they're in 3rd and whatever they want. So they got to be better defensively.
They definitely have to be better defensively, and you're exactly right. There's critical moments I feel like throughout the game for the Giants, especially defensively in 2nd and long situations, 3rd and long situations where the defense just plays a little too vanilla, too soft. And of course, the thought behind that is let's have them throw the football underneath the sticks. Let's rally to the football. Let's gang tackle, right? Stop them short. But it changes the whole dynamic when we're dropping beyond that point where it's just too casual, it's too safe, and now we're giving teams opportunities to have short yardage, 3rd or 4th down opportunities, and it totally changes the outcome of the game and really the way that you feel about the defense and how they're playing. So that's just something that I think schematically you're right. They need to be a little bit sharper with those situations against the Chargers and Greg Roman in that offense because they're going to have a few plays dialed up specifically for those situations.
Right. And I mean, you played Jayden Daniels, who was lights out last year.
Yep.
You played against Dak Prescott. When he's healthy, he's going to light you up. And you
Definitely.
played against the great Patrick Mahomes. And this week it's Justin Herbert. Like, you can have a team in 2nd and 13 and give up 10 yards potentially next week against the Saints with whoever their quarterback is and maybe still get off the field or have a good chance to.
Right.
Against these top guys, that's like taking candy from a baby in those situations.
It totally is. It totally is. So it's just it's going to be a big weekend. I'm pumped about it. I'm looking forward. I can't wait to see Jaxson Dart play. I know the stadium's going to be jacked up for him. I know Giants fan base are just going to go crazy for this guy. So I hope it goes well for him. I hope they dial up some plays to really help this young man get into the play calling really quickly and really just, hey, wouldn't be shocked if you see a lot of Ole Miss type of style plays, right? Stuff that he did it successfully really well at the college level, some sort of derivative of that. Through Kafka's offense, through Dayball's offense this weekend.
And if it looks better, people are going to be like, well, why didn't they? What, they were just saving this stuff for Jaxson Dart? Like, what? No, the quarterbacks have different skill sets.
That's right.
Now, a lot of these things are in it. Once they drafted Jaxson Dart, many of these things have been incorporated into their offensive playbook, but you can only use certain things based on the player's ability. Like, you're not running all these RPOs and design quarterback runs with Russell Wilson. You might have 1 or 2 to keep them, to keep them honest.
Yeah.
But now it can really be a part of your full-blown package. And he's going to be able to get away from some pressure. Is it going to be Daniel Jones' starting debut against Tampa back in 2019 when he threw for 336 yards and 2 touchdowns? Not sure Tampa's defense was as good as this defense he's going to see against the Chargers.
Right.
Could it be like Eli when Eli's first start in 04, he went against a 7-2 Falcons team at Giant Stadium? Had a decent game, 162, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. I think somewhere in between there, Giant fans would be very happy with.
Well, we definitely don't want a Phil Simms first start against the Tampa Bay Bucks back in 1979.
Hold on one second, though. Let me ask you this. At the end of the day, when the Giants fans left Giant Stadium that day, did they win or did they lose?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
They won.
They won.
So I think considering the fact that the Giants are 1-9 in their last 10 home games, I don't think they care what Jaxson Dart's final numbers are. If they actually leave MetLife Stadium and the Giants have a win, we'll worry about the optics afterwards.
That's right. That's right. Give me 38 yards passing at least, though, Jaxson Dart. Just give me one more yard than Phil Simms' first start for the New York Giants. But hey, well, let's switch some gears, man. All right, let's go. Exciting game, man. Really, I'm like, is this real? Gotta. Okay, yeah, it's real. All right, the Colts, Rams, 3-0. Indianapolis Colts taking on the 2-1 Los Angeles Rams. Our boy Danny Dimes, okay, is dropping dimes. Watch the coach's tape of him last week against the Tennessee Titans. Got to say, man, Daniel Jones playing really good football. And the offense is really well designed for his skill set and what he does. And this is something that we have discussed how good and how talented the Colts offense could be if they were just a little bit more consistent on the offense side of the football, especially in the passing areas. Daniel Jones has been unbelievable. I mean, he's breaking Peyton Manning-like records for the Colts as far as his success to start this football season. And, man, Shane Steichen just reminding us all that he is a damn good play caller. He knows how to dial him up. He knows how to choreograph an offense. And we're reminded, too, that Jonathan Taylor is an absolute lightning bolt when he gets the football, and he is a game breaker at any time. Am I boring you? What are you looking at over there for? What's over there on the wall? What?
No, I was just thinking about something.
Yeah, well, so what are your thoughts?
Well, here's what I'm thinking about. I think, look, last week was last week.
Yeah.
Everyone said after the Miami game, wait until Daniel Jones plays against a real defense, which he did the following week.
Yeah.
And all he did was put together 3 scoring drives of 80 or more yards against the Broncos defense.
Right.
You know, I found it funny, actually. You called him, what was his original nickname?
Danny Dimes.
So how did he get that nickname?
Dropping dimes, baby.
Yeah, his rookie season.
Yeah.
He had 24 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, and he played really well in the 12 games that he started.
Yeah.
So it's in him. Now, it hasn't worked out for a myriad of reasons with the Giants, and I believe a change of scenery probably was not only best for the Giants, but best for Daniel Jones, considering he had 3 head coaches when he was in New York, numerous offensive coordinators, 2 general managers, a myriad of offensive line coaches, and all that stuff. But he's good. He's a good player. I'm not saying that he's in our bubble pantheon of the top quarterbacks in the NFL, but when you give him an offensive line, when you give him a legitimate running back, when you give him a guy who, even though he's a rookie, looks like he's going to be a fantastic tight end, and the complement of receivers they have, this guy can function. And I think, and function at a high level, because he was an accurate passer before all hell started breaking loose. And some of it was his fumbling. Some of it was injuries in New York, and again, all the changes I mentioned.
Yeah,
but he's a pretty good player, and it'll be interesting because what we talked about last week, you and I on our radio show, was what do the Rams do to deal with Saquon Barkley? In the 2 losses last year, he rushed for over 200 yards in both of the games. He had 4 runs of over 60 yards for touchdowns. They did a really nice job on Saquon last week again.
Yeah.
But they still won the game, the Eagles did. I got to think that the Rams' major focus is going to be on Jonathan Taylor to start with. Can the Colts run the ball effectively to create the advantageous down and distance? I think it's a fascinating game between these two teams, and I'd be hard-pressed to say who I think has an advantage in this game.
I agree. And I kind of want to go with I'm going to lean towards the Colts having the advantage of just because they're playing good football and everything just seems to be going in their favor right now. I do feel like there might be a little bit of a hangover potentially for the Rams with the way that the game went last weekend, the game of two halves essentially for the Rams. Hey, you had the good Rams in the first half, you had the not so good Rams in the second half, and it really just falling apart. And man, Stafford took a few shots. He looked a little uncomfortable towards the end of that football game. He still made some plays to give him the opportunity to win the game, and that's what's most important. But for the Rams, man, that was a devastating loss, I feel like, last week. And I know it's only September, and I know they're a 2-1 football team, but it's not every day that you give up 19 late in the football game or have a 19-point lead and give that up and lose the game.
Yeah, I mean, and it's especially with the way they lost the playoff game in Philly last year, having an opportunity late, and they got the Niners and Ravens in the next couple of weeks. So you wonder a little bit of a trap, but when a team comes in and they're 3-0, it's not a trap.
Yeah, right.
And the other thing that's very important in all this is the NFC West plays the AFC South. So this game means a lot as far as tiebreakers within the division because this goes into the common game pool.
Yeah.
So look, I think the Rams are going to play good. I think their defense will play well. The question is, Indy's defense, can they slow down the running game of the Rams and get a lot of hits on Stafford? And listen, Steichen's done a really good job of figuring out how to utilize Daniel Jones' legs as well. That's something that we saw in 22 with the Giants. When he's part of the run game with those RPOs and things like that, that makes the team that much more effective, and it frees things up for Jonathan Taylor. But the surprise of the first 3 weeks is Daniel Jones, but I don't think it's false. I think he's going to be good all season with this team.
Yeah, it's not false. And after watching the film of him these past few weeks and how he's performed and the way that he's seeing the field and how he's trusting his instincts and cutting the football loose down the field, it's not think and dunk. He's being aggressive. I think it's a real deal. And it's
I got a question for you. You and I talked about this a lot last year, and even off air.
Oh yeah, the motion.
Does it look like he's back to throwing the ball the way he used to? Because it really felt like last year with the Giants and even the year before a little bit, it seemed a little mechanical, a little bit robotic. It looks more like Daniel Jones from 2009. If you put tape on of Daniel Jones in 2019 and you didn't know that it was Daniel Jones, and you put some tape on from the last couple of years, you would think it's a different player.
There's no doubt. And I think a lot of that has to do with just really, the mental health of the athlete too. Right, his environment, how he feels about what he's going about through the day-to-day process, and how he's going through this offense, and how he lives and breathes through it, and of course him staying upright. He's being well protected in Indianapolis. Shane Steichen has, I think, taken advantage of things that he does extremely well. He is really good at layering footballs right now, and the other thing that I really love about what I've seen from Daniel Jones too is exactly right with the motion. He's not falling or pulling away like it seemed like he was a year ago. You know, he would try to throw a football really hard down the field or aggressively down the field. And it was kind of like half his body was going forward and the other half was kind of retreating away. And this year he's nice and tall. He's following through the reps, right? It seems like he's got great balance as he transitions his way from his back foot to his front foot. And the accuracy really does prove that he's on point with his technique right now. So it's a combination of all of those things, right? Being comfortable in the environment, the play calling, being protected well, and of course his fundamentals matching all those things too. So it's a great point, Bob. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, but I'm glad that Sims Complete can actually explain it because you guys coach it.
I mean, I did my best. It's hard to do it without showing actual film, but he definitely is improving it in that regard this year. There's no doubt about it. All right, let's go, Bobby. I keep pausing because I'm used to you being the host. That's my problem. So, right, this is weird, right? I'm asking you questions about football, but hey, let's go now to Ravens, Chiefs. 1-2 football teams here in this matchup. 4:25 on CBS this weekend. Ravens, Chiefs. It's really unbelievable to think that in 2 games now, Derrick Henry has essentially been one of the reasons why. hey, he's costed his team, right? In critical situations with the ball hitting the ground. And this is something that we're not used to seeing one of the greatest of all time doing. But that is just the way that football goes sometimes. For the Baltimore Ravens right now, the big question mark is just, can the defense figure it out against an offense that is middle of the road? I mean, we know what it is. The Kansas City Chiefs, they are just going to find ways to survive each and every week. The offense is not explosive. Kelsey has absolutely lost a step, but he is still a big piece of what they do, especially in the underneath stuff and just finding ways to get open, right, against zone coverages. Overall, though, the lack of explosive ability is, again, just something that I feel like we've talked about these past few years, and it doesn't look like it's being solved anytime soon. Tyquan Thornton has absolutely been an upgrade, or at least is emerging as an upgrade at the receiver position for them on the offense side of the football. But, Bob, just some of your quick thoughts on just what we should expect for Chiefs Ravens, two teams that we did not expect to be 1-2 here with this matchup.
And we're going to be talking about one of these teams is going to be 1-4, which we didn't expect, but it's going to happen barring a tie. I think that Andy Reid and Matt Nagy are going to test this run defense of the Baltimore Ravens. With Madubuike not back, they're going to try to pick upon that. And we know how the Chiefs want to play, right?
Yeah.
They have to play with good defense. Since the start of the 2023 season, they give up the fewest points per game. They don't score a lot. In that time, they only scored 22 points per game.
Yeah.
But last time I checked, 22 scoring and 18 giving up means you're winning.
Yeah.
Can Baltimore figure out a way to stop the run? Now, remember, last year, early in the season, the Ravens struggled mightily defensively. Then they made the switch with Kyle Hamilton, and it kind of fixed everything.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's going to be a quick fix right out of the gate.
Yeah.
But I have confidence that once they get Madubuike back and Van Noy, that they'll be better defensively. But in the short term, we're going to learn a lot, because if Kansas City is able to run the ball, and they don't have as good an offensive line, nor do they have the dynamic runners that Detroit has, then we're going to be concerned here about Baltimore, at least in the early part of the season.
Right.
The other thing is Derrick Henry. I mean, listen, the final score does not indicate how well defensively Cleveland played 2 weeks ago, but they totally shut down Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry's ability to run the football in those games.
Yeah.
And then Henry got shut down last week, and Lamar Jackson didn't kill the Lions with his legs. Even though he had chances late in the game, they played good, sound defense. I would expect Spags to incorporate or use some of those things. But this is a fascinating game for me, because I think from the Chiefs and an offensive standpoint, you got to get Xavier Worthy back. And then you got to just ride out this Rashee Rice suspension, and then him conditioning and getting, completely up to speed. But I think you add those two elements to this puzzle, now it opens up the running game a little bit for you. Now it opens up some more of those easier throws and some more of those explosives. But I think right now they're just trying to hold the fort until they get some reinforcement and lean on that great team defense.
And Xavier Worthy is questionable, I believe, for this game going in with the shoulder injury. He could play after missing last week against the Giants. And that's going to be awesome, because we have learned that Tyquan Thornton is a good football player. And if Xavier Worthy and Tyquan now can be on the same field together and kind of building that chemistry as an offense, I mean,
plus Juju and Hollywood Brown are good role players.
There's no doubt about that. And their role will just get that much easier for them with this speed on the outside, right? Surrounding them, right? And basically protecting them in certain situations. And I'm with you, man. I think Spags is going to be able to scheme up a really aggressive way to attack this Baltimore Ravens offense. And we've seen him do it before. I think he's going to be ultra aggressive on the outside. That's what I love about Spags and his defense. He totally trusts his corners. He allows them to play on those islands. He does a great job of making sure that they are just always on point with their matchups and their calls, even formations and all that. Like, hey, they just don't get tripped up on some of the stuff that I feel like other teams do. So just with the way that they're able to communicate in the back end, I think it's going to be awesome and important to this football game. Overall, the Ravens, I understand a lot of us had, especially, me included, deep playoff run, Super Bowl caliber football team, all that. But you're right. I think ultimately it comes down to, can the offense get it done? Yeah, we believe so. Defense really is the biggest question mark. And I don't think the Chiefs will be able to take advantage of the running game the same way that the Lions did. But if they can do something of productive between the tackles there with Matabike out, because that really was very noticeable, right, on film, is that without Matabike, there's just not enough weight in that interior part of the defensive line for them. And the Lions really had a field day pushing them around that way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the two guys that Detroit's throwing at you, plus when you factor in the jet action stuff with Amon-Ra St. Brown or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chiefs don't have anybody at the running back position in the same ballpark as what the Lions are hitting you with their 1-2 combination.
That's right.
But, what has made the Chiefs so great? Between 18 and 22, they averaged 30 points a game. They had Tyreek Hill, and obviously Kelsey was younger, and they're throwing the ball all over the place and breakneck. Since then, what's happened?
What's happened?
They play to their profile. It's a little bit more conservative. Well, they lean on Mahomes to make some plays, and they play great team defense.
Yeah.
Now, Baltimore scored some points against them. But, then I wonder about the psychology here.
Yeah. I know you do. I love when the thinking cap is on for Bob. Let's go. What do you got?
Well, don't you feel like, especially after last week's game, and the way the playoff game ended last year, that there is a piece of the Eagles now that's in the Rams' head?
In the Rams' head, there's no doubt. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. For a couple of years there, didn't you feel like the 49ers owned space in the Cowboys' head no matter how good Dallas was playing?
There's no doubt. Yes, sir.
Well, what kind of space, depending on how the game starts and how the game plays in the first parts of the game, what is in the Ravens' head when it comes to the Chiefs?
Is it a studio apartment or is it a duplex or do we have a whole townhome? That's my question mark. I see a pretty nice townhome up there, honestly. And really, part of it, too, is, yes, I totally agree. There's no doubt. Another aspect of what I see from the Ravens is sometimes I feel like the Ravens almost get, impatient with themselves, right? Like, Lamar, there's times where it's like he slips as he's getting a scramble. It could be a 20-yard scramble, and he'll get up pissed off. And those are the plays that kind of confuse me, where it's like you just ripped off 20 yards. Like, get the crowd into it, give it the old, first down sign and all that, and go. But it's almost like it's just, even when they get these explosive plays, it's not enough. It doesn't satisfy them enough. They want more all the time. And I feel like that impatience kind of plays into why they seem to struggle against some of these better football teams late in football games when it matters most.
Well, look at body language at the end of the game in the fourth quarter last week. Because listen, Lamar was he was having his success. He was ripping it and making throws. I mean, the touchdown pass he threw to Andrews, there's not a lot of quarterbacks in the league that are even be able to make that throw.
No doubt. It's phenomenal play.
So, but then what happens, right? They mix up the coverage a little bit. He drops back. He's feeling a little pressure. He had some guys on crossers, but he didn't let it rip, right? Now it's like, ooh, now I'm going to go do a Lamar thing. Great job by the Lions to keep it contained, and they made some incredible plays.
No doubt.
I mean, last guy got him, or else it might have been a 30-yard run. But they got him.
Yeah, even Jack Campbell, right? Even Jack Campbell and his patience, right? Most guys would have gotten shaken out of their boots, but he was patient. They stayed true to their fundamentals in that way. And as corny as that sounds, that's what I think Kelvin Shepard and the group did extremely well, is that they were extremely patient when tackling Lamar, where we see so many others get almost too excited. They're like, oh, there's Lamar. And they almost trip over themselves with the excitement of it. And I think that's something that the Detroit Lions did extremely well.
Right, and I expect Kansas City to do the same thing. I mean,
I agree.
Again, they went to 3 straight Super Bowls, plus they win against this team. They figure out a way to win when they play Baltimore. The other thing that was a little alarming too was after the Derrick Henry fumble.
Yeah.
I mean, for a guy that's is going to walk into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You can see that there's something going on where he is lacking a little self-confidence, right? Because how demonstrative he was after that fumble, right?
Yeah.
And the slam and falling on the bench, and then he kept walking back. Like,
because it's not him. It's not him. He knows that it's not him. And I think that's what's confusing for him as the athlete in the alter ego that's on that field, right? Is that ball security has never been a concern of his when he plays football. And now with a team like the Ravens and with the expectations on top of it and them leaning on him in critical downs, there's no doubt that there is that space of like, what is going on? Come on, Derek. That self-talk. Hey, hold on to the football, man. You're the guy. They're gonna rely on you. So it's very strange what he's going through personally in this regard.
Yeah, and then from a collective team standpoint, when they had the ball inside the 5-yard line, inside the 3-yard line, first down, and they run it with Derrick Henry, and he gets absolutely stoned.
Right.
And then they try running it again, and he gets east and west, and he gets stopped.
Right.
Like there was I don't know about you, but just watching it, I can imagine how they felt, because weren't you shocked that they didn't like?
Yeah.
How many times have we just seen him plow through people?
Yeah, I know.
So, right now it's just not clicking. Who's to say that this week it won't click for them?
Right.
But I feel like they're a team that's coming into this game that I'm not going to say self-doubt, because I would never say that about professional athletes, especially guys who have won MVPs and are future Hall of Famers. But it doesn't seem to be the exuding of confidence that we've seen in the past with them.
No doubt. And it definitely seems like there's we gotta find ourselves again type of game, right? We got to get back on track to keep playing Ravens football, and even with the Chiefs too, with their mentality going to this one. It's going to be really interesting. All right. So the next game that I want to talk to you about, we got the Commanders, 2-1 football team taking on the Atlanta Falcons. We'll see with Jayden Daniels. It's questionable right now. He said in his press conference too, it's up to the doctors, right? And if they say yay, he's going, and if they say nay, he's not. So either way, though, Marcus Mariota seems to be one of the best, if not the best, backup quarterback in the NFL right now, with the fact that he's able to go in, run the offense exactly the way that Jayden Daniels would be able to run it, manage the expectations of it, including his ability to run the RPO scheme, the zone read scheme, and just his accuracy and veteran leadership, right? So it's important, right? Either way, we got to think that, well, let's go back to this. What do you think about the Falcons? Because the Falcons are a team where, like, I want to like them. I know you're not a huge fan of Michael Penix, and I know that he doesn't quite do it for you. I like Michael Penix. I think he's got some ability. I know he's got some ability. I'm not sure about the whole offense.
Has there ever been a Sims family member that doesn't like a quarterback that's got a live arm?
I mean, probably not. No, probably not. It would be a first, right? It would be a first. But, like, for me, it's bigger than Michael Penix to me, right, with this team. And that's where it just, hey.
Well, let me ask
the way they
Matt.
perform. Yeah, go.
Did Michael Penix, and now I'm going to give Michael Penix props here.
Okay.
He was awful last week.
He was
they
awful.
Lost 30-0, and he threw 2 pick sixes. So
yeah.
That means that the defense gave up 16 points in total.
That's right.
But did Michael Penix not drive the Falcons down the field at the end of the game against the Bucs, and Younghoe Koo missed a 44-yard field goal, which in today's NFL, a 44-yard field goal, especially indoors, on natural grass, that's a gimme in today in NFL. So I want to put a little bit of this stuff in context. Now, did he light it up against Minnesota? No, but they played complimentary football and they won the game. And they leaned on their defense. I don't know what to make of the Atlanta Falcons. I really don't have an answer. I have an idea about the Washington Commanders because Dan Quinn Cliff Kingsbury, what they have staff-wise, the experience, the winning culture that they've established. But I don't know what to make of the Falcons. I guess that's the frustrating part.
Yeah, and of course with the Falcons to start off the game against Carolina last week, they had 2 missed field goals right out the gate, right? So it's not like they solved their special teams problems by cutting Younghoe Koo and moving forward. They did for that 1 week against the Minnesota Vikings, but to come back and to kind of stumble right against the Carolina Panthers on the road, that's not ideal. And yeah, the one pick that was just low, coming out of your own territory, right? And Michael Penix went through his read and just last second, throw the check down, right? And it was just one of those reactionary things where he didn't really actually look. He just reacted and went. And, man, just threw it right into coverage in that one. The one later on where he threw the comeback down the sideline, hey, that's one where it's like, hey, you got to see it. You got to throw it better. I understand that. So young quarterback still that's getting used to playing and being the guy. I'm not going to totally fault him for last week because I just feel like overall the team was just super flat, offensively, defensively, and the whole nine. Do you think that they can bounce back against a Commander's team?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So
you know how the
gives
NFL
you such
is.
I know, but still, even with let's say Mariota's the starter, right? Still feel confident that the Falcons can put one together here.
Yeah, I feel more confident that the Falcons can put one together than if Jayden Daniels plays. Look, I think the Falcons' defense is pretty darn good. We saw that in the Minnesota game. I think if they can get the running game going against Washington, that plays a good level of team defense. There's not a lot of guys that they have defensively. I mean, we all know about Bobby Wagner, but
right.
They don't have a lot of household names, but they play collectively good, and they always seem to have a good plan.
Yeah.
But I think if the Atlanta Falcons could get their run game going here a little bit, play close to the vest or whatever, I think they could cause some fits for Mariota. I think they can cause some issues for him. Last week was just smooth sailing across the board for them. But I think, in your building, get off to a good start. Don't allow Washington to get a run game going. Don't allow explosives in the run game. Then you can manage Mariota a lot better. If Jayden Daniels plays, that's a whole different set of circumstances. But I feel confident. When you have a good team, Matt, and they lay a complete egg like Atlanta did, there's usually a bounce back, especially early in the year, because there's a whole season still to play for.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And that really will be the big question mark for Raheem Morris in this defense too, is can they hold up in the trenches and not give up over 200 yards rushing like the Las Vegas Raiders did against the Washington Commanders a week ago, with just a mixture of guys getting involved. And hey, it also goes to special teams too, right? Deebo Samuel opening up the game with his kickoff return, which I want to say was 69 yards. Yeah, 69 yards. And then they gave up that punt return by Jalen Lane, right? The 90-yarder for a touchdown. So special teams obviously was the theme of the week last week. And if the Falcons can play good special teams, not give up explosives there, control the line of scrimmage, and not give up some aggressive runs like we saw, they got a shot. They got a shot.
It's interesting, Matt. You know how I'm like big into the whole tiebreaker stuff.
No doubt.
I might be the only person like talking about games that are going to be played on September 28th, but I think tiebreakers because everyone.
We talk about it. I feel like we've been doing this now for what, 2 years now? Mm-hmm. Going on 3 maybe. And you're right though. Like you were telling me, like, hey man, like everyone falls asleep in September, but these games always seem to kind of rear their ugly heads later on when it matters most. So,
well, yeah, here's an interesting thing, right? Because everybody thinks, the fastest way to the playoffs is to win your division, right?
That's right.
You win your division, you get a home playoff game, you're in. So everybody thinks that obviously it's head to head. And then it's division record.
Yeah.
But everybody always makes the mistake of going, okay, what was their conference record? Conference record is only for teams not in the same division.
Right.
The number 3 tiebreaker after head-to-head and division record is what's called common games, not conference record.
Right.
It's common games to break a tie within your division. So with that said, to educate the audience here, this might be this game, other than the fact that it's a conference game, which could come down to tiebreakers between the teams in a head-to-head. But from a division standpoint, this is one of the 3 games that has minimal impact as far as division tiebreakers, because the NFC East this season, right? The NFC East is playing the AFC West.
Yep.
And the NFC East this year is playing the NFC North. So this is a game between the East and the South. It's not as impactful when you get to the common game, because this is not a common game for the Giants, Cowboys, or Eagles for Washington. Mm-hmm. And this is not a common game for the Bucs, Carolina, New Orleans, and Atlanta as far as a division tiebreaker.
Right. Well, there you go. There you go. No, but you're absolutely right. And this is something that I feel like we always kind of fall asleep until it matters, right? Until we do bring it up later in the season. And it's the reason why a team is continuing on their season.
Right. So like when Atlanta comes off their bye, and they play Buffalo, there will be a segment of the fan base, and I understand why. And they'll say, well, this one doesn't really matter that much. It's against an AFC team. No, it does matter, because the NFC South this year plays the NFC West, and they play the AFC East.
Yeah.
So this goes into the bucket of common games with your division games. So the Buffalo game has way more impact. The Chargers game for Washington has more impact than this game this week between these two teams, other than that it's a conference game, which would affect your interconference tiebreakers. But your division tiebreakers, it has the least impact.
Right. All right, let's get to it.
I think I need a graph for that.
I think you do. I was with you, but I can't lie. Almost lost you, but I was with you. All right. Okay. We'll go. Hey, you know me, man. Hey, so now let's go Green Bay Packers, Dallas Cowboys. We're going to end the show with Jerry's World. All right. We've all been waiting and anticipating this matchup. 8:20 Sunday Night Football. Let's go. Let's get it on. Green Bay Packers, Micah Parsons coming home. Dallas Cowboys. Listen, 1-2 defense really is the question, right? Cowboys defense and defensive secondary especially has been awful. It really has been. And that's really where, can they do anything to slow down Jordan Love in this passing attack? Now, the great thing is that Jordan Love in the passing attack, it's been okay. It's been good. It's nothing like, extraordinary to where they I feel like they got to be like super concerned, right, about this matchup. But either way, this is all going to be about Parsons, Kenny Clark, the returning game of Micah Parsons, Jerry's World, and how that goes. What are some of your, first thoughts when you think about this matchup and its importance, obviously, it being Packers, Cowboys, and then Parsons with Jerry?
Yeah, and Packers routing the Cowboys in the playoffs 2 years ago in Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe this is a fair fight.
Oh, really?
Don't. No.
Wow.
And here's why. I'm really impressed with what the Packers have defensively, including Micah Parsons, but not solely because of Micah Parsons, right?
Yeah.
I think they're really good defensively. I don't think that Dallas's run game is anything special by any stretch of the imagination.
Mm-hmm.
They have now suffered injuries on the offensive line that are telling. And we know Pickens is a really good player. And we know some of the other receivers are good-looking players. But you can't take CeeDee Lamb out of this mix and not expect it to be a factor.
That's right.
Against a really good defense. Everyone's going to focus on Micah, and that's going to be the storyline for NBC and Sunday Night Football and the whole deal. But Green Bay has a really good defense. I feel like Green Bay has a very balanced defense from the front all the way to the back.
Okay? Agree.
And I think more importantly, although they don't have necessarily some Pro Bowl guys at certain positions, I think the defensive coordinator has done a great job. They play great team defense.
Yeah.
Injuries on the offensive line, a mediocre running game, and now you take CeeDee Lamb out of the mix. That's tough for the Dallas Cowboys. And then you flip that with Diggs looks to be a shell of himself, okay? I mean, it looks like the knee injuries have definitely robbed him of the special attributes that he had as a player.
Yeah.
I know Bland has been banged up, as of this recording. I don't know if he's playing in the game.
I don't believe that he is now.
So they've had some other injuries on the defensive side of the ball. The safeties are a liability. I know Coach Schottenheimer talked about they're going to switch some things up schematically and so on and so forth. But guess what? Eberflus was in the division the last couple of years. If anybody has a bead on what Eberflus's tendencies are as a defensive coordinator, the Green Bay Packers are one of them. I don't know how Dallas stops them. I think this is a get-right game for the Green Bay offense. And I think that with the injuries that the Cowboys have on the offensive side of the ball, I don't know if they can beat them 40-37 like they beat the Giants. I don't know if they're going to be able to put up enough points to match what I believe Green Bay is going to be able to put up.
Yeah, well, that is the question. Is just, can Dallas actually score consistently on this Green Bay defense? And I'm with you. Without CeeDee, that really, I think, is the big deciding factor for that. And then add on top of the injuries of the offensive line, this Green Bay defensive line is talented. They have depth, they have size and strength. Lucas Van Ness is another young football player that has been showing some promise and getting better with the addition of Micah Parsons. Of course, we know Rashawn Gary is a damn good football player, and some of those guys in the interior are really playing some good football. The linebacker crew in itself, too, with Cooper and Walker. I mean, we're talking about two of the better linebacker tandems in all of football at the current moment, I feel like. So the Green Bay Packers defensively, I feel like, match up extremely well against Dallas. And it's really going to be just Dak creating some magic on his own, which he is more than capable of doing. And he's playing some really good football. But it's a tall task to ask of Dak in this one, because I do feel like Halfley and the boys will be able to coach it up well to limit some of the explosive plays that the Dallas Cowboys have run. On the offense side of the football, yeah, I mean, I think it's a Josh Jacobs type of football game, honestly. I really do. I feel like this is one of those Josh Jacobs games where he's got 120 by the end of the day, and it's kind of like a little salt in the wound, too, of Jerry, who got Kenny Clark in to prove that we need to stop the run and do all that kind of stuff. But I just think that the Packers leaning on their running game, trying to protect Jordan just because it was a little ugly last week for him against the Cleveland Browns, and establishing the run, building off the offense that way for him to kind of get back in his groove against this Dallas Cowboy defense that's been struggling.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Cowboy safeties just have people running by him as we speak. I think someone just ran by open for 60.
That's not cool, man.
So whatever adjustment they make, I feel like offensively the Packers will be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think the Packers can win this game with their defense being effective without Micah Parsons completely destroying the game.
Agree.
Because I think they're that good across the board. And again, if you told me that the offensive line was healthy and you told me that CeeDee Lamb didn't suffer a high ankle sprain, I would say to you, I'm having a harder time picking this game because I could see Dallas winning one of those primetime shootouts, 38-37 or 43-40 or something like that.
Agree.
But, man, you take CeeDee Lamb out of the mix, and now you're asking Pickens to carry a bigger load and everything. And it's not that Pickens isn't a really good player, but it's just the rapport that Dak has with CD in big spots to make. Yeah.
It's real.
It's really real. Wow. Can you say that? Really real? It's totally real.
Why not? It's totally real.
You said something that's probably could be a whole nother show with the right guess. But
what's that mean?
You made a comment before about the Packers defense, and we probably could do a whole other show, or you and your dad could do a whole other show with a really good linebacker guest on.
Yeah.
But it was interesting when you said, they may have one of the best linebacker tandems in the NFL. Think of how the game has changed. We used to talk about the linebacking group, whether it was a 3-4 defense, meaning the four backers, or a 4-3 defense with strong, weak middle. And now if you look at the way the game is played with big nickels and nickel situations, and safeties playing sort of a linebacker hybrid role and a robber. It really has come down to now in the NFL, like the base defense, you only really need 2 legitimate starting linebackers.
Right. And listen, Isaiah McDuffie, the Sam linebacker, right, for the Green Bay Packers, is another phenomenal football player. So I could say it's Duffy, Walker, and Cooper. But you're right. It is a little bit more of just modern football. We do see the nickelback being a little bit more present and a part of the overall just formation of our defense, I think, a little bit more consistently in today's day and age.
Right. Or one of the linebackers is so athletic and maybe he's a little bit smaller that he can actually play the role of a safety in certain conditions. So
that's right. Which is like the Derwin James, right? That's what we were talking about for Derwin James this week in the New York Giants. Like, wouldn't be shocked if he's lined up more as a linebacker this week with Jaxson Dart in that RPO game. So it is interesting how that has played out. And Nixon's another guy too for this defense as I go through the list again of this defense. Like, Nixon is an aggressive, physical corner, and I just wouldn't be shocked without CD on the field if Nixon, Pickens, that whole thing is just kind of part of the chess match that happens between snaps, right? Because he's a guy that he talks, he gets physical, he gets a little handsy, gets a little aggressive. And, I just wonder without the Batman Robin duo with CD and Pickens, if that leaves a little bit of room open for the Packers to kind of have a little bit of that chess match, that mental chess match on the back end sometimes with Pickens on his own.
And let's see what adjustments Dallas makes. I mean, they have some other receivers that I think are talented, and they have a couple of young guys that I think are pretty good, and they have Tolbert, who's a good player. So let's see what the chess move is here. Let's see what Schottenheimer schemes up. It's not like they don't have some other speed.
Yeah.
I just think when push comes to shove, it's pretty hard to win without CeeDee Lamb, who's one of the best receivers in the sport.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Well, hey, Bob, this was awesome, man. I really appreciate you coming on. Thanks to ZipRecruiter for finding me the job candidate that I needed right away. And also, too, Delete Me. Thank you so much for Delete Me for sponsoring our show and taking care of us.
Don't delete me.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about it, right? As someone with an active online presence, privacy is really important to me. And occasionally, Bob is really annoying. So sometimes I go to Delete Me to get rid of Bob.
I'm not selling your data. I am not selling your data. That's one thing I'm not going to do. But there's a lot of jokers out there that are doing it. Identity theft. They know your address. They know where you live. They can find out about your family, get your social security number. And then, dude, it's become an industry. They sell it. We got to stop it with Delete Me.
Delete Me. Make your moves anonymous online. They will complete and wipe your data off the internet. They might wipe you off the face of the earth, all we know. All right, that's
we want Delete Me to delete you.
You know what, Bob? It's been great. I really appreciate your help today. All right, and now that's it. We're just gonna thank you. Hey, FanDuel. Appreciate FanDuel. Believe Network. Sims Complete. That's Bob Papa. I'm Matt Sims. Thank you for tuning in to the latest edition of Sims Complete. We'll be back next week for more. Hey, you the man, Bobby. Great tan, bud. You the man.
Hopefully Big Phil's back.
Hopefully, God, yeah.